want me to reporting your progress. Therefore, look down. You will read wonderfully. Okay, go.
Oh man, again. Okay, can you at least share the screen now?
Oh, I didn't share the screen. How dumb I can be. Okay, that's very okay. I will share the screen and you will read. And after you reading, I comment and everybody will challenge each other. Go ahead.
Okay, the South Vietnamese, oh, well, we're still there, okay.
We are here.
The South Vietnamese government, on the other hand, fought to preserve a Vietnam more closely aligned with the West. U.S. military advisors, present in small numbers through the 1950s, were introduced on a large scale beginning in 1961, and active combats were introduced in 1965.
1965 is a very, very important year. A lot of things happened in the United States, like a civil rights movement, a lot of assassinations.
Malcolm X died.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of assassinations. My Earl in where? He's actually in Thailand. He's my wonderful student from Thailand, but he always late for 5 minutes. That's wrong. Okay, keep on going.
By 1969, more than 500,000 U.S. military personnel were stationed in Vietnam. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union and China poured weapons, supplies, and advisors into the north, which in turn provided support, political direction, and regular combat troops for the campaign in the south. The costs and casualties of the growing war proved too much for the United States to bear. The U.S. combat units were withdrawn in 1973. In 1975, South Vietnam fell to a full invasion by the North.
Any comment, Luke John? Any comment? You read it wonderfully.
Yeah, kind of. Basically, the United States are just basically just abandoned most of the war because they couldn't have the money, and also mainly because people were getting mad at them. And
good job. According to the list, next one is Matthew. Matthew, you read one paragraph and ask me any question for discussion. Go ahead.
The human costs of the long conflict were harsh and for all involved. Not until 1995 did Vietnam release its official estimate of the war dead. Of the war dead. As many as 2 million civilians on both sides and some 1.1 million North Vietnamese and Viet Cong fighters. The U.S. military had estimated that between 200,000 and 250,000 South Vietnamese soldiers died in.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot.
In 1982, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial was dedicated in Washington, D.C. Inscribed with the names of 57,939 members of the U.S. Armed Forces who had died or were missing as a result of the war.
Okay, stop. This memorial, sorry for the interruption. This is one is actually very important. It's designed, is a masterpiece designed about American Chinese girl, and she's such a hero, and you guys can all learn from her. Okay, Maya Lin. Everybody write down her name. If you don't know her name, everybody homework. Research Maya Lin. She's such a wonderful woman. She still teach in Yale University. She graduated from Yale University and she's teaching in Yale University. She made so much masterpiece, so many masterpieces. She's still making masterpieces. She was a young girl. College students designed the Vietnam Veteran Memorial, and you can learn so much from her. Okay, you did wonderfully, Matthew, and yes, you were here.
Dedicated in Washington, D.C., inscribed with the name, inscribed with the names of 57 1,939 members of the U.S. Armed Forces who had died or were missing as a result of the war. Over the following years, additions to the list have brought the total past 58,200. At least 100 names on the memorial are those of servicemen who were actually Canadian citizens. Among those countries that fought for South Vietnam on a smaller scale, South Korea suffered more than 4,000 dead, Thailand about 350, Australia more than 500, and New Zealand some 3,000. Vietnam.
Okay, stop. Each person only one paragraph. Let me mention something. South Korea was such a poor country. Their president, the military dictator, signed a lot of South Korean soldiers to fight in the Vietnam War. Therefore, they were paid a lot of money. So the South Korea used the money to finish their industrialization. Right now, South Korea is a rich country. Okay, but the money was earned by the blood of their young men. Okay, Christina from Florida, how are you? I'm very glad you are here. Now read and feel free to ask any question. Very sad, the boat people. There is a lot of boat people in Houston. There is a whole organization of SOS boat people. Go ahead, Christina.
Vietnam emerged from the war as a potent military power within Southeast Asia, but its agriculture, business, and industry were disrupted. Large parts of its countryside were scarred by bombs and defoliation and laced with landmines, and its cities and towns were heavily damaged. A mass exodus in 1975 of people loyal to the South Vietnamese cause was followed by another wave in 1978 of boat people.
Okay, stop. Boat people in Houston. For example, these are boat people in Texas. There's a lot of boat people in Texas, and they formed Vietnamese gangsters because, okay, boat people in Texas. Okay, and I personally know some of the people. See, the boat people I know, I visited their office, the voice of the Vietnamese boat people in Texas. Christina, even though you're not in Texas, can you read a little bit? Boat people in Texas.
Your screen hasn't loaded on my computer.
Oh, okay. It's okay. I didn't load well. And let me explain, because you're not from Texas. It's not fair for you to read it. And the boat people, there's a lot of boat people come here. The history of Vietnamese American. Wow, they even have a Wikipedia in Houston. There's a lot of them. See, they have a Vietnamese tongue. Greater Houston, Fort Bend, Harris County, and there's a lot of them. Why they are famous? They are young men from a gangster group in Houston. Vietnamese of Chinese descent. Oh, I visited this temple. Actually, I visited. There's a lot of Vietnamese. They are Chinese descendants. They were kicked out by the Vietnamese communists. See? And you guys can do a lot of research. And I actually have a friends there, and they formed gangster in Houston in the 1970s and 80s. See the BOSS, see? Wow. But anyway, there won't be too much information on them, but all the police person know, because these both people come to Texas, and a lot of these young people their parents don't have time to educate them, and some people, they lose their family, so they form their gangster. It takes many years for the police to eliminate them, arrest them, and disband them. So, and it's very sad story, because these young people lost their parents. Now, Christina, finish it. Meanwhile, in the United States, okay.
Meanwhile, the United States, its military demoralized and civilian electorate deeply divided, but began a process of coming to terms with defeat in what had been its longest and most controversial
Okay,
war.
stop. There is a lot of movies about that. For example, Born on the 4th of July. The movie is talk about a military demoralized civilian, deeply divided. Okay. Okay, good job, good job. Now, from the very beginning, each person have a time to read and comment. Earl, my wonderful from Earl, from Vietnam. No, you're not from Vietnam. He's currently in Thailand. Go ahead. French rule ended, Vietnam divided. Go ahead. Earl.
The Vietnam War had its
I cannot see
origin.
you. I need to see your face. There's nothing wrong with your wonderful face. Okay, good. Go.
The Vietnam War had its origins from the broader Indochina Wars of the 1940s and 50s, when nationalist groups such as Ho Chi Minh's
Ho Chi Minh, do you know anything about Ho Chi Minh?
Yes, he led the Vietnam Revolution.
That's right. And everybody homework, research Ho Chi Minh. This guy knows so many languages. His real name is not Ho Chi Minh. He has so many hidden names, and he know a lot of language. He know Vietnamese, of course, Chinese very well. Chinese, even know the calligraphy and the poetry. He write Chinese poetry, and he know France. He was educated in France, not that well educated, and Russian, many languages. Okay, so this guy is a very interesting person. He lived a very long time. A lot of time he's underground. Make sense? Also, he have so many Vietnamese 与远爱国. And then you guys have to do a lot of research. This guy have a very interesting career. And he travel a lot. He have to navigate between the United States, France, Russian, and Chinese. And the Vietnamese worship him. Who is reading? Keep on going. Earl, keep on going.
Inspired by Chinese and Slavic communism, fought the colonial rule of Japan and then of France, the French Indochina War broke out in 1946 and went on for 8 years, with France's war effort largely funded and supplied by the United States.
Okay, stop. Even when the French, see, the Vietnamese look down upon the French people because when the Japanese invaded Vietnam, the French people just run away, right? They just surrender to Nazi Germany and they ran away and they easily surrendered to Japan. And when the Japan was defeated, the French people come back to the Vietnamese and say, hey, come on, I'm your boss. So people like Ho Chi Minh, who actually educated in France, right? Who are you to be my boss? You are so weak. You just know how to surrender. Now you want me to surrender to you anymore? No way. Make sense? So the French people is a laughing stock, even though they make very good coffee and the French bread. They make good coffee and French bread. And the Vietnamese learn how to make the French bread. And they bring that cuisine in Houston.
And they made banh mi.
That's right.
And pho.
That's right. They taste very good. Yes or no? That's the only thing French people are good at. Now, Earl, keep on going.
Finally, with their shattering defeat by the Viet Minh at the Battle of Dien Bien Phu,
everybody homework. Everybody have to study Dien Bien Phu because Dien Bien Phu changed world history. Let's watch a little bit of video for our relaxation. And Dien Bien Phu. Dien Bien Phu is a northern Vietnamese town. The Vietnamese destroyed the elite, very elite, very elite, the French soldier. They gather all these soldiers from all over the world. And that's the homework. You need to study the map. And Terrence from California, he actually is a geography B #1 in the United States. Okay, he probably, if I test him about Dien Bien Phu and all these geography, he probably know the most because this guy study what? Map and map. Okay, so homework for everybody.
By 1953, Ho Chi
the Battle of Dien Bien Phu in 1953 documentary. So we watch for 3 minutes and then you need to finish it at home.
Minh's communist guerrillas have fought the French army for 7 years in Vietnam. The French are struggling to pin down and destroy the elusive Viet Minh revolutionaries. They now hope U.S. support and a new ambitious outpost will force Ho Chi Minh's troops into a final decisive battle in the valley of Dien Bien Phu. By early 1953, the Indochina War is a stalemate. Both sides, the Viet Minh and French Union, have experienced their fair share of victories and defeats. Ho Chi Minh and Vo Nguyen Gia's Viet Minh forces wiped out the French border forts and garrisons.
Wu Yuanjia is the general who defeated
I
Vietnam.
understand it. It's
Yeah.
Vo Win Yap, right? Or something like that.
That's right. But most of the Vietnamese at that time, they all have a Chinese name. And they all have a Chinese character, and a lot of them can write classical Chinese poetry, and their calligraphy are very good. In Chinese, is Wu Yuan Jia. Okay, so of course, eventually, yeah. So Terrence tells us, yeah, they take Chinese school. So you guys need to know your Chinese too, okay? And all of them can speak Chinese at that time, and especially Ho Chi Minh.
The Viet Minh and French Union have experienced their fair share of victories and defeats. Ho Chi Minh and Vo Nguyen Gia's Viet Minh forces...
You need to know this name.
Pronunciation. What was
French
that?
border forts and garrisons in 1950 and ambushed a major French patrol in 1952. But they've been unable to capture significant French positions defended by artillery and air power. In their attacks on Vinh Yen in 1951 and Nha San in 1952, they suffer huge casualties for no gain. Meanwhile, French Union troops have been able to hold the Red River Delta, but are unable to pursue Viet Minh.
Okay, so if we talk about Vietnam War, and I think I wouldn't give you guys a lot of good education if you don't know your geography. So another homework is everybody have to study what? Vietnamese geography. So you need to finish this video. I'm sending that one to you. And the next one is, I don't think you guys know enough. A very short video, Vietnam geography, because you cannot study without know the Vietnamese geography. Let me find the most popular one.
Geography. Yes.
Is that geography now is good enough? Terrence,
It's
the
best
you choose
channel.
one. You
It's the
think
best
it's the best channel? Yeah.
Yeah, the first video.
I know that there's this guy from South Korea, yes or no?
Okay, so I don't speak.
I think he is from South Korea. He's educated in the United States and he knows his Korean language very well. Okay, so you have to study that. Let's watch for 5 minutes, and the Terrence are going to give us a presentation about geography of South Korea. If Terrence, if you are not good enough, I will be disappointed. You have a 5 minutes presentation on
Vietnamese, but I would.
Okay, let's start from the middle because this guy, wow. Let's start from here. We watched
That the
5
Vietnamese
minutes,
embarked
Terrence.
on to acquire southern lands. Yeah, don't remind me. And at its greatest territorial extent, Vietnam once occupied lots of lands in what are now Laos and Cambodia under Emperor Minh Mang.
Did you not just hear what I said?
History is a
They always have a fight with Cambodians. They bullied Cambodians and the Cambodians don't like it. Yeah.
Objective, dude. Gotta report it. Anywho, today Vietnam looks like this, and within Vietnam, there are so many cool sites and places to see. To explain more on that, let's have one of our Vietnamese geography peeps explain, shall we?
Hello, Hui Bao is here to introduce you to the top places in Vietnam that people visit. Just as Barb introduced to us in the Regions of Vietnam episode, the countries have different parts. Now, the northern region is widely considered as the heartland of Vietnamese culture, with the most famous places being the Temple of Literature and National School, the Thăng Long Citadel Complex, Trung Quốc Pagoda.
See the style heavily influenced by Chinese architecture and Buddhism, right? And Buddhism, by definition, influenced by India. So they are influenced by China and India. Therefore, they call it Indo-China. Indo-China. Just look at the architecture style.
There is also the Hanoi Old Quarter. Moving away from the capital, you can expect to find natural scenery such as the Ha Long Bay, Cat Ba Islands. There is also the Eye of the God Mountain and town of Sapa, which is one of the only places in Vietnam where it snows. Moving downward from the north, lots of beaches. Definitely recommend the beaches of Da Nang or Nha Trang. Here we can also find the city of Hue, a very romantic city which is also the old imperial capital. Just some distance from Hue is the Hoi An Old Quarter. The culinary culture here is exquisite. Moving to the highland region, there is the famous City of Love, the city of Dat Lang. Moving south from here, the city of Saigon.
I'm currently have a Vietnamese students. I found out the northern Vietnamese and the central Vietnamese and southern Vietnamese are very different. They have a totally different mentality. The southern people, they become, they are more commercialized. They know business well. The northerners care about scholarship more. And the power, of course.
Ho Chi Minh City. Ho Chi Minh City is certainly famous for the Binh Thanh Market or the Independence Palace. You should also pay a visit to the Co Chi Tunnel.
What is the Co Chi Tunnel? How the Viet Cong fight guerrilla warfare with the Americans and French.
Or the Independence Palace. You should also
see that's how the guerrilla warfare was fought. Tunnels. They dig tunnels.
Pay a visit to the Co Chi Tunnel. You can also check out the local museums such as the Museum of War Remnants. Moving south again, now the Minh Tây, the west, you can check out ecotourism centers because they grow a lot of fruit, a lot of rice. They need to trade it in.
Okay, Terence. Now you talk about for 5 minutes anything about the Vietnamese geography you know. Go ahead. I gave you 5 minutes. Depending
So
on
Vietnam is a country in Southeast Asia. I'm pretty sure it borders like 3 countries.
Good job. Which three? Which three?
China, Laos, and Cambodia. And it's kind of shaped like an S. And it borders the South China Sea.
Wonderful.
Specifically, the infamous Gulf of Tonkin, which is like where like a bunch of the Vietnam War stuff happened in.
Good job.
Uh,
Gulf of Tonkin resolution. Anybody know Gulf of Tonkin resolution?
There was a ship called the USS Maddox or something. It was a destroyer. It got blown up, possibly by North
They didn't got you are wrong. They didn't got blown up.
Wait, no, it didn't really get blown up. They thought it got like hit by like North Korea.
That's right.
Vietnamese torpedoes, right?
That's right.
So then Lyndon B. Johnson, using the Gulf of Tonkin resolution, I'm pretty sure he gave himself emergency powers, right?
That's right. So they
Yeah, and then he declares war on Vietnam.
Yeah, he started a war without using the name of the war, using the Gulf of Tonkin resolution from U.S. Congress. Terrence, keep on going.
Okay, so also just like Chile, the reason that Vietnam is so skinny is because there's like a mountain range to its west, which is called the Annamite Mountains, and it separates Vietnam from the other countries from Southeast Asia. Um, so Vietnam is like also pretty mountainous, and usually where the populations are, it's like a valley or like maybe like in the center. It's like on like an ocean. Um, they have a lot of natural beauty, especially in karst formations around Halong Bay.
What karst formation? What is the karst formation? Enlighten us.
I think it's like a limestone, like when there's
Limestone. Good job.
water and like it just like flows and makes some weird stuff.
Yeah.
Um, the video explained a lot of things, and a lot of the major cities are like on the coast-ish. And the ma two main rivers are like the Red River and or like it was like the Red River, and then there's also like the Mekong in like the south. Uh, and yeah.
All of them are very important in the Vietnam War because the Vietnamese use guerrilla warfare. And when you fight a guerrilla warfare, you use geography to your advantage. You use geography for your advantage. So we learn so much about everybody I beg you guys, everybody need to form the habit of what? Using the Britannic Encyclopedia. And who haven't read yet? Emma haven't read yet. And Emma is going to read a very important part of Vietnam War, and it's how the United States get involved even more. Emma, read loud and clear. Emma, you are from Austin. See, I have a student in this wonderful class from different locations in the United States. And the next time I probably get my student from Canada to join. Go. Oh, of course, these people from Canada, they don't learn enough American history because right now they hate American right now because of Trump. Emma, loud and clear, go.
Accepting the de facto partitions of Vietnam as unavoidable, but still pledging to halt spread of communism in Asia, U.S. President Dwight D.
Eisenhower, good job.
Dwight D. Eisenhower managed a crash program of assistance of the state of Vietnam, or South Vietnam, as it was invariably called. The Saigon military mission to convert operations to conduct
Covert
psychological
operation, secret, sneaky operation, and they do a lot of assassination stuff. Okay, covert operation, go.
coverage to conduct psychological warfare and military activities in South Vietnam was launched at June 1st, 1954, under the command of Air Force Col. Edward Lansdale.
Colonel, this means Colonel, U.S. Air Force Colonel. Go ahead.
At the same time, Vietnamese
mean in Chinese, mean people. Vietnamese People's Party. Okay, it's a semi-communist party, and eventually Viet Minh become the Vietnamese Communist Party. Viet Minh leader, go ahead.
Vietnamese leaders confidently expecting a political disarray and arrest themselves, retained many by their political operatives and propagandists below the 1970 parallel, even as they withdrew the military forces to the north.
I think this guy being assassinated by CIA. Everybody write it down. His name, the Vietnamese political leader, and Kennedy. Under Kennedy administration, Kennedy was CIA assassinated him, and he died this year from assassination, age 62. And Kennedy was very sad because he probably got the feeling he might be assassinated. Because in the ancient time, a king don't kill a king. If you killed him, you can bring death to yourself. This is a superstition. Okay, it's a superstition, but superstition sometimes they works. So each person read already a little bit. We are not going to finish the whole Britannica because Britannica are a lot better than Wikipedia, and is 10 times better than your Texas, what? Textbook. Okay, so I'm sending you guys from the email 500 word. Okay, 500 word essay. For example, a 500 word essay, the high school essay level. So I hope each and every week you can write me one essay. Okay, here is my explanation. High school US history, 20 most important event. Okay, everybody, each person from the very beginning to the end, read and we'll talk about it. According to this current lining, Matthew, each person read 2 and discuss. Go.
First Indochina War ends. 1954. Event. France loses control of Vietnam after Battle of
变边府大捷边边府 Okay, go.
Significance. Leads to the
Geneva
Accords and division of Vietnam at the 17th parallel.
So they draw a line, the 17th parallel between North and South. Where do they negotiate? They negotiate in Geneva in Europe. Okay, go ahead. You read 2. Geneva Accord.
Geneva Accords. Event. Vietnam temporarily split into communist North and anti-communist South.
Okay, when you read the book, you may do further research about, for example, Geneva Accord, how they were done. Go. Significance. Go.
Significance. Set the stage for U.S. involvement to support South Vietnam.
Good job. And you can do research about it too. Bowling, you do the number 3, number 4. Go. Formation of Viet
Cong. Event. Communist guerrilla group formed in South Vietnam. Significance. Begins insurgency.
That means rebellion.
Insurgency against the South Vietnamese government.
Wow, congratulations. Gulf of Tonkin incident. Go.
Event. Alleged North Vietnamese attacks on U.S. ships. Significance leads to U.S. Congress passing the Gulf of Tonkin resolution.
Okay, we talk about 2 things. Everybody take notes. Gulf of Tonkin incident. According to conspiracy theory, alleged. What is alleged? Bowling, what is alleged? What does this mean?
It means it could have been false, which probably
That mean alleged mean somebody stolen my wallet, which have $1 million in my wallet.
Boy, for LBJ to declare war on Vietnam.
That's right. So some people, according to conspiracy theory, to say the Gulf of Tonkin incident never really happened is a fake. That is conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory was proven correct. So everybody research. How do you distinguish what really happened? Okay, homework. How do you know something that is written in the homework is true or not true? For example, they teach you there's a Gulf of Tonkin incident. Some U.S. warship has been attacked by the Vietnamese. That is the beginning. And then some people say, hey, it never happened. How do you find out whether something really happened is a real or fake? So homework, you guys research which one have the highest view 7 years ago, forgotten truth about the Gulf of Tonkin incident, forgotten history. This one is American soldier turned historian. Hopefully he won't lie. Okay, forgotten history, American history and soldier. He was a soldier. So let's watch this one. And I want you guys to research what really happened or didn't happen.
Until the War on Terrorism, Vietnam was the longest conflict in American history. By the end of that war, in April 1975, 57,939 Americans would be killed or missing in action, with an estimated 250,000 South Vietnamese soldiers also dead. The Gulf of Tonkin incident sparked the great conflict.
Okay,
that
then
has
you
been
need to know the physical location of a Gulf of Tonkin.
a series of small counterinsurgency missions. This event was the reason that President Lyndon Johnson justified going to Congress to appropriate military funding to expand American military involvement in Vietnam, starting a major conflict that would last until April 1975. Johnson had many personal and financial reasons for getting involved in the war, not the least of which was his stock portfolio in the military.
Everybody take notes. Johnson from Texas, hill country I visit his family farm. And in Texas, of course, there's a lot of armament factory and he owns stocks.
Armaments industry, especially the Hughes Aircraft Company that built many of the helicopters used in the conflict. How did
And you guys, oh, Hughes Aircraft Company, and Hughes is from Houston, right? Bowling, you research Hughes Aircraft Company and the people who built the Hughes Company. There is a big house in near Westheimer, which is 20 minutes from where you guys live. Okay, maybe 15 minutes. Hughes Company. And this billionaire, their family is in Houston.
Johnson convinced the public and Congress to get involved in Vietnam? What did he say to create the atmosphere for war? What was the real truth behind the event that people did not know?
Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, military veteran.
Hey, this guy fight in the Vietnam War. When he finished fighting the Vietnam War, he want to find out the truth. He's a military veteran, historian, and author, and then he want to find out the truth. Therefore, he turned into an author. Okay.
Historian, author, and welcome to this episode of Forgotten History.
On August 2nd, 1964, 3 North Vietnamese torpedo boats attacked the USS Maddox, DD-731, which was in international waters in the Gulf of Tonkin. There is no doubting that fact. The force commander, Captain Herrick, ordered gun crews to open fire if the boats came within 10,000 yards of the destroyer, which did happen. 3 5-inch shots were fired across the bow of the closest boat that closed in at 15:05 hours. In return, the lead communist boat launched a torpedo and then veered away. A second torpedo boat followed, and it launched 2 torpedoes and was in return hit by gunfire from the Maddox. The first PT boat returned to the action and launched a second torpedo and fired its 14.5 millimeter guns, but it was heavily damaged by the Maddox's defensive fire. The entire engagement only lasted 22 minutes.
22 minutes. And whether this 22 minutes really happened or not really happened, it has been a big mystery. So I want you guys to actually research this one, Forgotten History. So everybody listen to this one, and I want you to research. You tell me whether it's really happened or it's a total fake stuff. Okay, it's also a fake stuff, and there's a lot of things for you to learn. And then, well, let's listen for several minutes how the historian found out the truth. Now the war already finished.
Unanimity approved the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution, which President Johnson signed into law 3 days later. Vietnam had just become a war based upon a lie.
Okay, so this guy is an allegation. Allegation. Everybody take notes. Vietnam become a war based upon a lie. the Johnson family investment portfolio exploded after the Vietnam needed a lot of helicopter, and the helicopter was made in Texas. But whether this guy is a propaganda or not a propaganda, I don't know. You guys find out. You guys are very smart kids, right? Very smart group. So you need using this opportunity to find out the truth. Don't allow people to give the truth, feed you in your mouth. That would be very, 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 very bad. Okay, Gulf of Tonkin incident. And the next one, who is going to read bowling? You read 3. Go. Gulf of Tonkin resolution. Go.
All right, so Gulf of Tonkin resolution, because of the Gulf of Tonkin incidents.
Okay.
Lyndon,
So
the U.S. realizes that North Vietnam is dangerous, and they will be a threat to the U.S. So Congress decides to give our friend with Lyndon B. Johnson emergency powers, which just made it so he couldn't do a lot of stuff in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Good job. Spend more money. Operation Rolling Thunder. Go ahead.
Okay, so it was just this huge bombing campaign. That's all I know.
That's right. Operation Rolling Thunders and the bombing campaign, but no foot soldiers in there yet. Okay, so you did a very good job. And next one, Christina for 2. You will do 7 and 8. Christina, go ahead.
U.S. ground troops arrive, 1965. Event, first major deployment of U.S. combat troops. The significance marks beginning of full-scale American ground war.
Go ahead. Battle of, how to pronounce it? Lapjack. Go. 65.
Event, first major battle between U.S. and North Vietnamese forces. Significance demonstrates the war's brutality and intensity.
Now there's a lot of young people going there, and the anti-war movement grow. And who is going to read Earl? And you go research anti-war movement in the United States. Go ahead, Earl.
Event. Widespread protests, especially on college campuses. Significance. Public opinion turns increasingly against the war.
Okay, Tet offensive. Go ahead.
Event. Massive surprise attack by North Vietnamese and Viet Cong during Vietnamese New Year. The U.S. wins militarily but loses politically. Shocks the American public.
Okay. Now, because it's a very good opportunity for us to study this one, very important stuff. Okay. How many people know this Tet offensive and Full Metal Jacket? How many people know this movie? Tell me. Full Metal Jacket.
I've heard of it.
No, let's.
I was watching it in the car.
Wonderful. You watch that in the car, and it's pretty violent. But we're talking about.
It just had a lot of bad words.
Of course. But I try to educate bad word part of human experience. You need to know that. Okay. You don't have to use the bad word, but when other people use the bad word on you, you should know that. This is from the movie.
The enemy
has
very deceitfully taken advantage of the Tet ceasefire to launch an offensive all over the country. So far, we've had it pretty easy here, but we seem to be the exception. Charlie's hit every major military target in Vietnam and hit them hard. In Saigon, the United States Embassy has been overrun by suicide squads. Khe Sanh is standing by to be overrun. We also have reports that a division of NVA has occupied all of the city of Hue south of the Perfume River.
City as Hui, and that's the very important perfume river, Xiangjiang. Okay, so these are the geography. That's why Terrence is very important in military to know the geography, okay?
In strategic terms, Charlie's cut the country in half. The civilian press are about to wet their pants, and we've heard even Cronkite's going to say the war is now unwinnable. In other words, it's a huge shit sandwich, and we're all going to have to take a bite.
Sir, does this mean that Anne Margaret's not coming?
Joker, I want you to get straight up to Fubai. Captain January will need all his people.
Yeah. Okay. Let me homework. Optional homework. If you don't want to violence or curse word or bad things, don't do that. Okay, but you have a choice. I think all of you guys are educated people. Recap. Okay, finish this video. This one is a recap because there is so much Vietnamese history inside here. And it's not only you can understand US history, you can understand the American history, the anti-war movement, why there is the anti-war movement. The wonderful thing is the Full Metal Jacket right now is free. I used to spend $12 to watch this thing. And right now it's free. So unfair, but it's so lucky for you guys. Recap in minutes. And I want you to listen carefully. And every 3 minutes, I want one of you to summarize for me. Summarize and discuss.
Recap in minutes.
Recap in minutes. They are not in 1 minute, this is in 10 minutes, but this is one of my favorite movie. I watched it 20 times. And you can write a high school level and college level of analysis about this movie. Okay. College level.
In today's video, we will be going.
I actually studied this movie in graduate school on Sino-US relations, foreign relations. Pay attention. Every 3 minutes, I randomly call one of you to summarize.
Through a war drama film entitled Full Metal Jacket. There will be spoilers ahead. Chill out and enjoy.
This one is in South Carolina. At the beginning is in South Carolina. Christina, pay attention. South Carolina, Paris Island, South Carolina. There is a museum there. You can make a reservation and visit there. Okay, pay attention.
Shaving their heads, they are now all in the island wherein Gunnery Sergeant Hartman is shouting loudly, introducing himself as their senior drill instructor. Sergeant Hartman is orienting the men in the island, saying that they will only speak if they are spoken to and that their first and last words should be sir. The boys are screaming as their response. Hartman is saying that if they leave the island then they are considered as ladies. If they survive they will be part of the recruits coming from the training. These men are going to be a weapon. They will be a minister of death praying for war, Hartman says. The speech of Sergeant is not done yet. He still continues with his talk saying such downgrading, destructive but somehow motivational lines. He is indeed a hard and harsh sergeant leader for the Marine Corps. He assumes that these young men will hate him. However, the more they hate Sergeant is the reason for them to learn more. Sergeant Hartman is continuing his talk when he asks one man standing in the line questioning who he is. As response, this man answers and screams his name loudly that he is Private Brown, but the sergeant chooses to change his name into Private Snowball. On the other side, an eyeglass man whispers, making a joke about John Wayne. Then when the sergeant hears him, it triggers the sergeant and then comes to him right away. Sergeant Hartman is now threatening all of them to admit who really is the one who said the joke. The eyeglass man then admits that he is the one who says it. After that, he is now known as Private Joker.
Okay, Christina. Summarize a little bit. Comment. Go ahead.
Well, so he was basically yelling a whole bunch of very not nice words to them, trying to basically like toughen them up.
Hey, Christina, I have to correct you. Killing people is not very nice. They are being trained to be killers. Can you be very nicely like me or like you and your parents, very nicely to educate people to say, hey, let me very nicely to teach you how to kill people. Let me very nice like a Frank Ha. Can I build a very good soldier out of you, Christina?
No.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think so. Your parents don't allow that to happen. Okay, so don't say not very nicely, very brutally. How about very brutally, savagely, savagely?
Yeah.
Okay, savagely. They were trained savagely. Good job. Good job. Now you learned something, right?
A fist in his stomach, causing him to get hurt and get down. Angry.
Am I allowed to use that technique to teach students? No, 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 no.
Sergeant tells him that he should not cry or laugh, ordering him to stand up at once. Then he asks what is the reason why he joins the Corps. Private Joker replies to him saying that his reason is to kill. Private Joker is now making a war face because the sergeant orders him, making his face.
Okay, that's enough. That's enough. I think YouTube don't allow that to happen. And your job is to, for example, if you want analysis, okay, essay. Christina, if you want to write high school of level of a real essay, for example, I watched this one, Full Metal Jacket, the consequence of conditioning. What is the conditioning? That's the psychology. Psychology.
They were like brainwashing them to become killers, and then when the dude got so crazy, he killed himself and killed the sergeant.
That's right. That is the social conditioning. Part of the public school system is a socially conditioning you guys to be a good obedient worker. So this one is about psychology. Okay, so millions of people watching this one, the price of a change from our common people, you were trained to become a killer, and this guy lost his mind. So the teacher, the coach become such effective one. He make them successful into a killer, and he himself get killed by his students. What the Full Metal Jacket really about? These are high school. Okay, go ahead.
The one that got crazy also kind of got beaten up by his people, so that's also another reason.
That's right. That's right. That's right. See, the duality of man. That is a wonderful essay. These are what? What? These are the high school and college level of essay. For example, what is the duality of man, Christina?
I'm not sure.
People can be angel. People can be devil. And in the wartime, AP, what is AP? Tell me. IB, level of literary analysis. 500 words. 500 words is too little. 500 words. Okay. AB and AP level study literature and history. Combine history and literature are even better. So if you want to study, write a very good essay, Duality of Man. It's pretty hard for you guys, but each person read one paragraph. Just humor me, starting from Emma. Go ahead. The title, The Duality of Man in Full Metal Jacket. So these are literary analysis. Go ahead.
Duality of Man in Full Metal Jacket. Stanley Kubrick Full Metal.
Oh, by the way, this guy is a genius. I probably watch 50% of his movies. Go.
Okay, Stanley Kubrick Full Metal Jacket, 1987, is not merely a work film. It's a psychological exploration of tension-breeding civilization, savagery, reason, madness, and ultimately the evil within the human soul. The concept of the duality of man most historically represented film where Joker and Rockley's forts of peacetime on his Jewsbury along the words to kill on his helmet becomes the central theme. This Jew's position.
Okay. Everybody needs to know this. Just position is combine. Put something.
Juxtaposition. Opposites attract. I learned this in language arts.
Wonderful. You learned it where? Where did you learn this?
No. My ELA class in 6th grade.
Really? Yeah. This is a high school level stuff, but you are in the program, you know. Okay, go. Don't interrupt Emma. Don't dare you interrupt Emma. Go. Emma, go ahead.
This
I'm
future is not random irony, but deliberate commentary of the human condition under extreme pressure of warfare and ideology. The
one more
film is
paragraph.
divided into two starkly
Go.
okay.
Go.
The film is divided into two starkly constructed half. Boot camp at Paris Island, and the chaos of any battlefield. The first examines how the US military systematically erased young individuals, I can say that, sorry, individuals to create unbidden killers. So, Sergeant Hartman's dehumanizing law and training, young recruits are sure about the praise that instantly. Leonard Grover Pyle, Lawrence, becomes the clearest victim of the process. Initially innocent and inkept, he is transformed to incompetent but psychologically broken soldier. His final act, killing Harmon and himself, embodies the complete factor between his internal moral conflicts and the violent destiny imposed upon him. This act forced viewers to reckon the cost of repressing human vulnerability and compassion in favor of aggression.
Okay, congratulations. You did a very good job. Now you're learning high school level of writing. And Terence, you are reading two paragraphs and ask me any question and comment. Go ahead. The second half of the film. Go.
The second half of the film continues its examination, but with the added complexity of moral ambiguity. Private Joker, now a Marine Corps combat correspondent, is the film's ironic conscience. His character embodies the film's core paradox. He is thoughtful and witty, yet complicit in a system of violence. The helmet slogan, "Born to Kill," paired with the peace sign he wears, becomes symbolic of this duality. When confronted about this contradiction by a colonel, Joker responds that he is attempting to express the duality of man, the Jungian thing.
No, Jungian thing. Jung, everybody read that. Jungian, Jung. Carl Jung is a psychologist. Carl Jung, let me write it down. Carl Jung, homework. Everybody needs to do that. Everybody Jungian thing. I'm a Jungian myself. I trained myself for many years to study everything about this old guy, and he's a genius. You learn from the genius, and you will be a genius. Even you won't be a genius, this wonderful guy, he's a sweet psychiatrist and psychotherapist. He cure people, and he also do psychology that can. This is a wonderful guy, and you can known for analytical psychology, collective unconsciousness. He used this one to study Nazi Germany. Everybody write it down. Homework. Collective unconsciousness. He used this one to study history, study how people's brain function. Why so many German people support Nazism. Make sense? This one is a very, very, very complicated. Too complicated for this simple soul like your teacher. I'm such a simple soul. I don't understand enough. Okay, but Terence, you read one paragraph because you happen to be Carl Jung. Go.
Carl Gustav Jung, was a Swiss psychiatrist, psychotherapist, and psychologist who founded the School of Analytical Psychology. A prolific author of over 20 books, illustrator.
Oh, I read two of his books, which is very hard. I lose several pounds. Okay, I killed many my brain cell to read even two of his books, and 20 books it will kill me. Okay, go.
Jung was a complex and convoluted academic, best known for his concept of archetypes. Alongside contemporaries Freud and Adler, Jung became one of the most influential psychologists of the early 20th century and has fostered not only scholarship but also popular interest.
Popular interest even from this movie, this soldier guy, okay? This soldier guy will become a Jungian, and his Jungian. And where is this Carl Jung? Okay, if you didn't learn anything, you learned Carl Jung. You're okay. You are wonderful. The duality of man. Where are we? Where are we? We are here. No, finish this. Finish this. Time flies so fast, so unfair. The union thing. Okay, even this small little phrase, there's a lot of things for you to understand. So this one is IBAP acid, which is 11 or 12 grade. Go. Terence, you understand it. Go ahead. Why he disappear on me?
I don't even know. This explicit mention of Carl Jung's theory of the shadow, the unconscious darker side of the psyche, situates the film with the broader philosophical framework. Kubrick suggests that human beings contain both constructive and destructive tendencies, and that war exacerbates this internal conflict.
What exacerbate mean?
It means like it's like not good. It's like making stuff bad.
Many even worse. Making some already bad things even worse. Good job, good job, good job. My wonderful students from California, Matthew, 2 paragraphs. The sniper sequence.
Sniper sequence near the end of the film crystallizes this theme. After a brutal firefight, Joker faces a wounded Vietnamese who begs to be killed. The moment is emotionally and morally complex. Joker's act of shooting her may have seemed both merciful and cold-blooded. The viewer is left uncertain. Was the act of humanity?
Act of humanity would be called mercy killing. I don't want you to suffer because you are already going to die. I do the mercy killing like the of mice and men. This guy killed his best friend for mercy killing. So Joker may kill this Vietnamese girl for mercy. Oh, go ahead. Oh, simply the final.
So the ambiguity is deliberate, echoing the film's resistance to clear moral judgments. In conclusion, Full Metal Jacket is a meditation on the duality of man. Kubrick, drawing on literary, psychological, and philosophical influences, argues that the potential for both good and evil resides within every person. War in this next context is not merely a geopolitical event. It's a crucible that reveals the contradictions of human nature. Though stark and imaginary
imagery,
haunting characters and biting irony. Kubrick confronts the audience with a question that remains unsettling. Relevant. What happens when society asks men to kill without acknowledging what the demand truly costs?
Okay, so this one is a very, very, very good. Okay, you can extend this one to 1,000 or 2,000. This is a high school level. Okay, this one is a high school level AP and IB essay. But of course, I can extend it if I really want to torture you guys. I will make it 2,000 college level essay. And then I will be so mean, you guys will hate me, but I don't give you guys that excuse. How about that? I don't give you that excuse. Let's have some fun together. AP, Vietnam War, AP, U.S. history, and sometimes, of course, it's world history too. It's part of world history. It's part of U.S. history. But United States at this time is the dominant power. Dominant power of what? AP. A push. What is A push? AP level. Okay, AP level. Okay, we start from the middle, and you guys have to summarize for me. Okay, we start from the middle. Vietnam War review for the
progress, and this shows that it is not the case whatsoever.
Examination.
In 1970, you must know the invasion of Cambodia. President Nixon authorized a bombing of a neighborhood country, Cambodia, right here on this map. And he did it because he said that the North Vietnamese were getting aid from Cambodia. You must know the invasion of Cambodia. This leads directly to the Kent State.
Wow, everybody write down. Kent State protest in itself.
Kent State.
There's a
Vietnam War
documentary.
protests, right?
That's right. Anti-war movement in the United States college campus. And I think 3 students got shot to death.
Yeah.
In the United States campus. 3 or I may be wrong.
4. It was 4.
Yes.
4. Wow.
So colleges, including Kent State, across the country are protesting about the bombings in Cambodia. Why is the U.S. bombing Cambodia, they would ask, when the Vietnam War is strictly going on in Vietnam? So there are many students that protest at Kent State over the Cambodia bombings. The National Guard is called in, and 4 students are killed and over a dozen are injured as well.
And the people who shoot them is also a young boy getting so overexcited and basically a teenager are killing another group of teenagers killing teenagers.
And not stress enough, guys. I've seen questions on released AP exams that what was a result of the Cambodia bombings.
Okay, so AP, advanced placement, basically high school, college level of teaching. So they will test you on this.
Or why did the Kent State Massacre occur? Something along those lines. It is a result. The Kent State Massacre happens because of the Cambodia bombings. Students were protesting Cambodia bombings. Okay, Nixon we're going to talk about, and his policy called Vietnamization. And this was his plan.
Okay, everybody take notes. President Nixon.
What?
And President Nixon and his Vietnamization. And you need to know enough about this.
Gradually withdraw U.S. troops from Vietnam, or gradually end the war in Vietnam, and to replace U.S. soldiers with trained South Vietnamese troops. In 1968, he campaigned here with one of his close advisors, who goes on to be a Secretary of State, Henry Kissinger. He campaigned using the slogan, peace with honor, that he will achieve peace with honor to the U.S. He will not dishonor the United States when they end.
And Nixon needed Chinese help. Needed help from China to end the Vietnam War with honor. Therefore, he sent Kissinger to visit China in 1971, and he visited China in 1972. That event itself changed history, and it's all been influenced by Vietnam War. Also, that's why Vietnam War is so important. Okay, that's why Vietnam War is so important.
Vietnam. In 1973, Congress has finally had enough of the war in Vietnam and the president's powers that they passed the War Powers Act, which overturned the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution.
Okay, and now we are also talking about the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution and being overthrown by the War Powers.
It essentially overturned it. It restricted things that the president could do when it comes to wars, and the president must notify Congress before taking action. So this kind of reinstates the balance of power between Congress and the president that was given up during the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution. Please know the War Powers Act overturns the Gulf of Tonkin Resolution. Okay, some effects of the war. Well, during LBJ's presidency, which was until January 20th of 1969, money that could have been used on the Great Society, his plan of the Great Society, went to the Vietnam War instead. And here is a political cartoon from a past AP DBQ.
What is the DBQ? Document-based question. They gave you a picture and ask you to analyzing this foreign policy. Okay, why is this a foreign policy mistake destroy the Great Society? Pauline, how do you answer this question? How do you analyzing this picture? You are muted. Anybody want to analyzing this wonderful picture?
Society, foreign policy. So it looks like he's pouring all that Great Society funding right into the Vietnam War.
Yeah, the money go down to the hell and going to the Vietnam War in the term of foreign policy. So the Great Society can barely survive, right? Because the money is gone and the human blood is gone.
See, there are two President Johnsons here. One is trying to climb this mountain, and he is labeled the Great Society, and the other one is trying
to build a better society with more equality, basically give money to the poor people, right? Give money to the poor people.
Pull them off the mountain, and that's called foreign policy. So the gist of this cartoon is that the money that could have gone to the Great Society to improve the country ended up going to Vietnam in the foreign policy, and it really took away from the Great Society. Johnson, as a result of the Vietnam War, does not run for re-election in 1968, and that's when Nixon wins. The economy in the late 60s and 1970s, we will see huge inflation.
Why huge inflation? Anybody can make a connection between the huge inflation with the Vietnam War? Anybody can do it? Why? Okay. Why the huge inflation? Because all the money is go out of the country, right?
I'm guessing it's like, wars in general, like just cost lots of money. You gotta pay for the rations, you gotta pay for the guns, you gotta pay for the ammunition, you gotta pay for the tanks, you gotta pay for transport, you gotta pay for uniforms, helmets, and it's a lot of money that you're spending, and then that just makes you say sometimes countries will loan money from the other countries, but then that country cannot pay back. So then it's just like a big economic downturn crisis. So
wonderful.
So economically, wars are terrible.
Wonderful. Economic war are terrible, and they are highly expensive. So the common people in the United States, of course, Vietnamese suffer the most, but American people suffer a lot. And so I'm sending this one, Wikipedia Young, into all these wonderful things I keep on sending to you guys are optional. It's not that you have to know everything about Young, but I highly suggest you guys all study Britannica. It's better than any of you guys' textbook. Okay, trust me. Just trust me on that. Okay, so another thing I really want you guys to do is to study these wonderful essays. And when you read these wonderful essays very hard, and you will write a great essay yourself. If you don't read other people's wonderful essay, you cannot do that. Okay, so I even want, the last several minutes, 20 minutes I have is, let's have some fun. 1,000 words college level essay on history and literary analysis of full metal jacket. Okay. When they were generating it, let's watch the ending of the Vietnam War and its influence. It's very bad influence on American economy. These are the AP level. I'm very proud of this class because you guys are definitely learn something that is above your grade.
Of trust between the federal government and citizens. Okay, thanks for watching.
So American people don't trust the government anymore because you know why? Why? Because too many lies. Okay, too many lies. Especially they need the people to sacrifice for them and they themselves get the benefit. No, we only have less than 10 minutes and each person read these college level of essay, but it take a little bit of time. It take a little bit of time, okay, to finish. But it's worth the trouble. It's worth the trouble. When you read it, anything you don't understand, you ask me. Let's go from the very beginning. And who is the number one here? Okay, it's Matthew. You happen to be number one, so you read one paragraph. Go ahead.
Title: The Full Metal Jacket. War this
Dehumanization. You make human non-human.
dehumanization and the duality of men. And Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket in 1987 is widely regarded as one of the most intellectually changing and psychologically
challenging. Let me intellectually. They force your brain to work very hard. That's called intellectually challenging. Okay, it's not only there's too many curse words you don't understand. They're intellectually challenging. Go ahead. Psychologically probing film. Go about Vietnam War.
Intellect and psychologically probing films about the Vietnam War. Unlike traditional war narratives that focus solely on the battle strategy or patriotism, Kubrick uses the film to explore the psychological mechanisms of war.
The eraser of identity. You forgot who you are. Okay,
and
go.
Complex duality within the human psyche. Though through a blend of disturbing realism and stylized irony, Full Metal Jacket presents war not just as a geopolitical event, but as a philosophical and psychological crucible that transforms and often destroys the individual. The film is layered critic of militarism
and modern warfare.
Informed by both historical accuracy and the deep literary symbolism, particularly through its exploration of the duality of man, a theme overtly referenced by the main character, Private Joker.
Private Joker, even this one character is worth you a lot of trouble. Therefore, I watched this book for so many times. So Christina will read another part, and so you will know, you can tell your parents, both of your parents, this is a very deep college level movie. And it's not only curse word. Okay, even though the curse words are very important. Okay, I'm going to research all the curse words in the movie and understand all of them. Okay, but you don't have to. You need to do these high school and college AP level essay. Go ahead, Christina. Go ahead.
To understand Full Metal Jacket, historical context, Vietnam and the modern American psyche. To understand Full Metal Jacket, one must consider the Vietnam War not only as a historical backdrop, but as a transformative episode in American consciousness. Fought between 1955 and 1975, the Vietnam War was the United States' most controversial military conflict. Unlike World War II, which was widely seen as a just war, Vietnam sparked protests, questioned government authority, and shattered the image of the noble American soldier. Kubrick's film emerged over a decade after the war ended during the Reagan era. The resurgence of patriotic imagery in cinema.
Top Gun. I watched Top Gun. I watched the Rambo. So many of them. It's a stupid movie, but it's a stupid movie, and Rambo is a stupid movie, but very entertaining. Very entertaining. It's one. If I give you Full Metal Jacket 100. Rambo is 10. Do you understand me, Christina? Rambo's message is 10. Full Metal Jacket is 100. And Top Gun is 20. Keep on going.
Yet Kubrick deliberately chose to diverge from triumphalism.
Go.
Presenting Vietnam not as a site of heroism, but as a psychological void in which soldiers are stripped of their humanity.
Okay, if you want to learn how to write good essay, use this as example. Make sense? Use this language as example. It will help your SAT reading comprehension. Now, Emma, go ahead. Emma from Austin. Are you sleeping, Emma? Are you sleeping on me? No, you shouldn't go.
No, I was just unmuting.
Oh, yeah, I know. I'm joking. Go. Loud and clear. Go. Kubrick adapt.
Kubrick adapts Scottish Gloucester's Hasford's semi-autobiographical novel, The Short Timers, grounding the film in a grim, first-person account of movie training and combat. The story ostensibly is enhanced by the Kubrick decision to film much of the movie in England, using a Vienna factory to rectify the early decay of Vietnam during the offense.
So therefore, this physical location is a real Hue, and the Tet offensive is historical correct. Go ahead. These ruins.
These ruins symbolize the moral collapse of civilization in wartime. The Vietnam War for Kubrick is not just a historical source. It's a case study in how ideology and violence can shatter the human soul.
Okay. Whose turn? Luke, John, go. Boot camp. This is the best part is boot camp, brainwashing. And I actually visit South Carolina. This not this boot camp, but Paris Island in South Carolina, near the city of Charleston. He's sleeping on me, Terrence from California. Go.
Boot camp, dehumanization and identity. The first half of Full Metal Jacket takes place at Paris Island Marine Corps Recruit Depot.
It's a real location. Even right now, it is still a Marine Corps Recruit Depot. Go.
Where young men are molded into soldiers under the command of Gunnery Sergeant Hartman. Hartman is a brutal caricature of military authority. He uses humiliation, racism, homophobia, and physical intimidation to break the recruits so they can be remade as killers. His aim is clear. You are no longer human beings. You are part of a team.
One more. You did a wonderful. Go.
Leonard Lawrence, nicknamed Gomer Pyle, becomes the most tragic victim of this process. Initially overweight, clumsy, and emotionally vulnerable, Pyle becomes a scapegoat for the platoon's frustration. After intense abuse, he transforms into a model soldier, but at the cost of his sanity. In one of the most disturbing sequences in cinematic history, Pyle murders Hartman before turning the rifle on himself. This moment is a psychological climax of the first half. It shows a complete failure of the system that was supposed to build men. Instead, it reveals how institutionalized violence can destroy fragile psyches.
Wonderful. You did such a wonderful job and a wonderful voice. Okay, good job. Earl, your turn. Now, here, go. Earl from Thailand. Good.
Here, Kubrick critiques the entire idea of military training as a process of dehumanization. Pyle is not just a character. He is a symbol of innocence corrupted by militarism. His suicide is not an isolated event, but a metaphor for the moral death required to create a soldier.
Keep on going.
Vietnam, irony, nihilism, and the duality of man.
Beautiful.
The second half of the film shifts to Vietnam, where Private Joker, now a Marine Corps combat correspondent, observes and participates in the war. Joker embodies irony. His outward sarcasm makes internal confusion. His helmet bears the slogan, "Born to Kill." Contradiction. Joker quips, "I think I was trying to suggest something about the duality of man, the Jungian thing."
The union thing. But you did a wonderful job. So therefore, one more. Good job. Okay, teach your classmates in Thailand, these, rich kids about this movie. Okay, because Thailand is very much near Vietnam, not too far away. Keep on going. One more paragraph. Go.
This is not a throwaway line. Joker's explanation references Carl Jung's
Carl Jung. And I hope you study this one and educate your sister about Carl Jung because she want to be a medical doctor. If you're a medical doctor, you want to understand your patients, right? If you're a teacher, if you're a police person, if you're a judge, you need to understand human psyche. And Carl Jung is the best in understand people. Go. Carl
Jung's theory of the shadow self, the darker unconscious side of human nature that contains aggression, selfishness, and fear. By invoking Jung, Kubrick invites viewers to consider that all people contain both good and evil. War, in this reading, becomes the ultimate test of whether one can integrate or suppress that duality.
If the duality breaks into two pieces, people get crazy. If we can live with ourselves, both the good side and bad side, we can have our sanity. So who is going to read probably the last paragraph? And after that, class will be over. The honor goes to Luke Zhang. Go ahead. Luke.
Joker's journey is one of psychological erosion. In the film's climax, a young Vietnamese girl who is sniping at the Marines lays wounded, begging to be killed. Joker, after some hesitation, shoots her. The action is morally ambiguous. It is mercy or cold-blooded execution. The ambiguity is deliberate. Kubrick resists offering simple answers, preferring to leave viewers in the same moral confusion as his protagonist.
Okay, let's talk about homework. Let's talk about homework and the class will be over. Okay, everybody write down your homework. Okay, very easy. Homework number one. You guys, each one write 500 word high school level essay, only 500 words about anything in Vietnam War, Vietnam geography, Vietnam War related foreign policy, or anything else. And you can write about Vietnam War related movie, 500 words. That's number one. Number two, I'm going to give you guys a quiz bowl level quiz. So prepare only about the Vietnam War next class. I will spend 10 to 15 minutes with you guys. Middle school level, high school level, easiest level, hardest level. Have fun. Including Vietnam War, U.S. history, movie history, literature, books, movies, music, anti-war movement, everything. Have fun. Have a great week. Bye.